Halcyon looks cleanest at night. The daytime crowds thin out, the transit grids run like clockwork, and the city's glass towers stop pretending they're anything other than mirrors. From the alley where I'm standing, I can see my own reflection in 1,000 windows at once. Same long coat, same tired face, same badge clipped too low because I keep meaning to fix it and never do. The dead man doesn't reflect at all. He's sprawled on wet concrete between a dumpster and a service door, limbs arranged with the careless precision of someone who didn't get to choose how they fell. The streetlight above him flickers in a slow, sick rhythm, not enough to go out, just enough to make everything pulse. Name, I ask. Officer Lynn doesn't look up from her tablet. She's new enough to still trust what the screen tells her. Darren Voss, 34, no priors, works for Arclight Logistics. Arclight. Everybody works for somebody in Halcyon, even the people who swear they don't. How'd you get him? I crouch by the body, careful not to step in the thin, dark trail leading from his ribcage to the gutter. Blood in the rain always looks like it's trying to leave. Lynn hesitates. No weapon recovered, single puncture wound, clean. Clean is another way to say planned. I lean closer. The puncture sits just under the sternum, a neat dark dot in the pale skin. No tearing, no bruising. Whoever did it knew exactly where to put it and what it would do. The air smells like disinfectant and wet asphalt. The city has started spraying the alleys at night, like it can rinse away what happens when no one's watching. What time? I ask. 11:47, Lynn says. Dispatch called it in at 49. You got here at 56. I glance at the corner of my vision where my contact lens overlays the time in polite white digits. 23:57, 3 minutes until midnight. That number, those 2 zeros waiting at the end, have been tightening something in my chest all week. Not anxiety exactly, more like the city is leaning forward listening. I stand and look down the alley. It's dead quiet, too quiet for this part of the district. A delivery drone hums overhead, then disappears between towers. Somewhere far off, a train whispers along its track. The sound softened by 1,000 layers of engineered noise dampening. Halcyon doesn't like harsh edges. Any witnesses? I ask. Lynn shakes her head. Cameras on this block are down. Maintenance says they'll be back up tomorrow. Tomorrow, that word should mean something. In Halcyon, it usually does. We build plans on it. We hang hopes from it. But lately, it started to feel like a slogan printed on a wall. I pull out my own tablet and snap a photo of the puncture. The angle of the body, the smear pattern, habit, evidence, control. The things a detective is supposed to cling to when the world doesn't make sense. The streetlight flickers again. Lynn looks up this time. You seeing that? Yeah, I say, it's been doing it. City grid's been weird all week, she mutters as if that explains anything. She gestures down the alley. Should we? A sound cuts her off. Not a siren, not a gunshot, not the usual city noises. Just a sudden drop in ambient sound, like someone turned a dial from low to zero. My skin prickles. The rain pauses. I don't mean it slows. I mean it stops mid-fall, droplets hanging in the air like glass beads. The glow of the streetlight freezes inside each one, turning the alley into a suspended chandelier of dirty water. Lynn stares upward, mouth parting. Jonah, she whispers, like saying my name might anchor her. My lens overlay blinks. The time stutters. 23:59, then the digits smear, the way they do when a connection drops. I blink hard, trying to clear it. A thin white line appears at the far end of the alley, just above the pavement. It's not light. It's the absence of light, a clean edge cut into the world. It widens silently like a door opening into blankness. I take one step back without deciding to. The air tastes metallic. Then the city breathes out. A flash of pure white rolls through Halcyon. Not like lightning, but like a screen being wiped. For an instant, I see everything at once. The alley, the body, Lynn's startled eyes, the suspended rain, the endless grid of towers above us. And then, nothing, no sound, no light, no weight. My stomach flips as if gravity has forgotten which direction is down. I try to shout, but my lungs won't fill. I reach for Lynn, but my hand passes through empty space where she should be. There's a pressure in my skull, gentle and absolute, like a hand covering my eyes. In the dark, a voice, calm, synthetic, too close, says something I can't quite catch. A single word maybe, or a number, the pressure increases, my thoughts scatter, I try to hold on to one. Darren Voss, puncture wound, cameras down, 3 minutes. The hand closes. I wake to a song I hate. It plays every morning at 6 because the city's radio network insists it boosts productivity. Bright percussion, cheerful vocals, lyrics about fresh starts that make me want to throw something. The sunlight in my apartment is the same pale gold it always is, filtered through tower glass and pollution scrubbers. My ceiling screen displays a soft city skyline and the date in friendly text. Tuesday, no day, no month, just Tuesday. Halcyon doesn't like specifics unless they're useful. My lens overlay flickers to life. 0600. I sit up too fast. Heart hammering, my sheets twist around my legs. My skin feels clammy like I've been sweating. The alley is still in my mind with impossible clarity. The frozen rain, the white wipe Lynn's face. I swing my feet to the floor and stand unsteady. My hands shake as I cross to the kitchen, half expecting to see blood on them, rainwater on my sleeves, anything to prove the night happened. My coat hangs neatly on its hook, dry, clean. On the counter, my coffee machine is already warming, its indicator light blinking in the same steady pattern it always does. I stare at it, breathing hard. A notification chirps from my wall display. Halcyon Public Safety Dispatch. Incident, possible homicide. Location, Eastwood Service Alley 14B. Time, 11:47 p.m. Assigned det, Jonah Hale. My blood goes cold. Same time, same place, same dead man. I grab my tablet with fingers that don't feel like mine and scroll through yesterday's case log. It's empty, not cleared, not hidden, empty as if the day never existed. I whisper to the room, to myself, to whatever might be listening, no. The cheerful song plays on. Outside my window, Halcyon hums with morning routine. Clean, efficient, and utterly unaware that midnight ate the world and spat it back out. I look at the hook where my badge hangs. Then I pick up a marker from the kitchen drawer, the kind I use to label evidence bags. My hands are still shaking when I write on the inside of my forearm, big enough that I can't miss it later, dark enough that it won't fade. This has happened before. The marker ink shines wet against my skin for a moment, then dulls as it dries. The words sit there like a bruise with meaning. I rub my thumb over them, half expecting them to smear into nothing the way last night did. They don't. A small relief loosens in my chest, quickly replaced by the realization that I'm relieved about something that shouldn't be possible. I drag on yesterday's shirt. Same one, folded the same way, as if my apartment is resetting too. I don't bother shaving. I don't bother with the coffee. I grab my coat and badge and leave the apartment with my forearm exposed like a confession. The hallway smells like lemon cleaner and recycled air. My neighbor, Mrs. Dahl, is locking her door at the same moment she always does, her hair in a tight bun, her grocery tote in the crook of her elbow. Morning, detective, she says, bright as a manufactured sunrise. Morning, I manage. She smiles, then pauses, eyes flicking to my arm. Oh my. I pull my sleeve down reflexively. Just a reminder. She nods like that makes sense. In Halcyon, people accept oddness if you present it with enough confidence. She steps into the lift and presses the button for the lobby. The door's close. I stare at the seam where they meet until the numbers above them blink from 12 to 11. I force myself to breathe, count the seconds. Something in me urges, old and childish. I can't afford rituals right now. I need data, proof, something I can hold that won't dissolve at midnight. I take the stairs. Outside, the city is already moving in smooth lines. Pedestrians flow between towers like water guided by invisible channels. Transit pods slide along their magnetic lanes without noise. Street screens display ads tailored to whoever stands closest. A fitness plan for the woman in front of me, a productivity supplement for the man behind, a discount on detective-grade lens polish for me. Halcyon sees me. It always has. That's part of the contract. Dispatch routes me in the same clipped tone as yesterday. Same location, same timestamp, same script. Detective Hale, the dispatcher says, possible homicide at Eastwood Service Alley 14B. Respond. I'm on it, I say. My voice sounds normal. That scares me more than if it didn't. The alley is 5 minutes away by foot. I push through the morning crowds, watching faces, listening for anything out of place. Laughter lands in the air at predictable intervals. Crosswalk signals chirp in perfect rhythm. Even the birds feel scheduled, a scattering of engineered song that plays from hidden speakers near the green terraces. No one remembers midnight. I reach the block and stop short. A city maintenance crew is already there. 2 workers in pale gray uniforms, power washing the alley entrance with efficient sweeps. The water sprays in clean arcs, catching light. A drone hovers above them, projecting a neat holographic sign, "Civic cleaning in progress. Please use alternate route." My stomach tightens. Yesterday the alley was empty when I arrived. Today it's being scrubbed before anyone's even called the body in. Or, worse, today is being arranged to make yesterday impossible. I flash my badge and step under the hologram. "Police, stop the wash." One of the workers, young, shaved head, looks up with mild irritation. "We're scheduled." "By who?" I ask. He points upward vaguely. Not at the drone, but at the sky, the way people do when they mean the city itself. "Civis." The second worker doesn't look up at all. His hose sweeps back and forth like he's erasing something that isn't there. I step past them. The alley smells sharply of detergent. The concrete is wet and gleaming. No blood, no body, but there is something else. A faint, darkened spot near the dumpster. Not red, not fresh. Like a stain that's been scrubbed too many times and still refuses to go away. I crouch and drag my fingertip across it. The residue is tacky. My finger comes away with a smear the color of dried rust. My heart thuds. The maintenance worker with the shaved head calls after me. "Sir, you can't." I ignore him and move deeper into the alley. The service door is closed. The dumpster is in the same position. The streetlight above flickers once, very lightly, as if clearing its throat. I lift my gaze to the cameras mounted at the corners of the buildings. They're there. Their lenses are aimed down the alley like unblinking eyes. Yesterday, Lynn said they were down. Maintenance said they'd be back up tomorrow. I raise my tablet and ping the nearest cam for status. The response comes back immediately. Camera 14B eastward, active. Footage retention, 24 hours. Access level det, Jonah Hale, granted, my pulse spikes. I tap to pull footage from last night. The screen loads, 23:40, empty alley, rain falling, 23:46. A man enters frame, walking unsteadily. Darren Voss, same jacket, same posture, 23:47. He stops near the dumpster and looks down at something in his hand. A small device, a message. The resolution is just low enough to make it ambiguous. 23:47:12. Someone steps out of the shadows behind him. My breath catches. The attacker is just a silhouette, tall coat, face obscured by the angle. They move with practiced calm. They reach forward, a quick motion at the victim's chest. Darren's knees buckle. He reaches out, grasping at air, then collapses. The attacker kneels briefly, retrieves something from Darren's pocket and leaves. The whole thing takes less than 5 seconds. Then the alley is empty again, except for the body and the rain. I scrub the timeline forward. 23:50. Another figure enters frame. Me, I crouch by the body. 23:53. Officer Lynn arrives. 23:59. The streetlight flickers, the rain. I stop. The rain doesn't pause. The camera shows the rain falling steadily through midnight. No freeze, no suspended droplets, no white wipe. Just normal weather and 2 people standing over a dead man, but I remember it. I remember the way my stomach flipped. I remember the pressure in my skull. I remember the city going quiet. I look up from the tablet and feel suddenly, uncomfortably exposed, like I've been caught believing in a ghost. A voice behind me says, "Detective." I whirl. Officer Lynn stands at the alley mouth, looking exactly as she did last night. Same uniform creases, same hair tucked under her cap. She's holding her tablet and her expression is polite concern. "Dispatch said you requested backup," she says, "but there's no." Her eyes flick to my forearm where my sleeve has slid up again. The inked words stare back at her. Her brow furrows. "What's that?" "Read it," I say. She hesitates, then steps closer and reads aloud slowly. "This has happened before." "Yeah," I say, my throat is tight. "It has." Lynn looks from my arm to my face. "Detective, are you okay?" I swallow. Did you respond to this alley last night? She blinks. Last night? No, this is the first call I've gotten today. Do you remember being here at midnight? I press. Her mouth opens, then closes. She shakes her head, uneasy now. It's 6:23 in the morning, sir. I exhale hard through my nose, trying to keep my voice from breaking. Do you remember anything strange happening at midnight? The city going quiet, the rain stopping. Lynn's eyes flick past me to the cameras, the maintenance crew, the clean concrete. No, she says more firmly, like she's choosing certainty. Why would I? Because it did, I want to say. Because I watched the world blink and come back. Instead, I turn my tablet toward her and play the footage from 2347. Lynn watches, face tightening. That's him, she says. Darren Voss. Now watch the attacker, I say. She leans closer, squinting. Can't see much. Exactly, I mutter. I zoom in. Enhance what little I can. The attacker's face remains a smear of shadow, but their hand, gloved, catches the light as it moves. There's a flash of something metallic, needle-thin. Lynn inhales sharply. That's a stinger. Yeah, I say. Clean puncture. No weapon left behind. Lynn's gaze shifts to me, wary. So why are maintenance washing the scene? I glance at the gray uniformed workers. The shaved head one has resumed spraying, deliberately not looking at us. Because someone wants this to be a story that disappears, I say. Lynn frowns. Who? I start to answer. And then my lens overlay flickers, not the time, something else. A brief system notification in the corner of my vision, the kind you're not supposed to see unless you're in admin mode. Civis adaptive response. Anomalous memory event detected. Subject Jonah Hale. Status containment priority. Low containment. The word sends cold down my spine. Lynn is still looking at me. Detective. I force my expression into something neutral. Nothing, just thinking. But my mind is already running ahead, faster than it should, skimming over the footage again and again. The attack happened. The city didn't stop it. The city is washing the alley before the day has even started. And somewhere inside the city's system, something has flagged me as an anomaly. I lower my tablet and meet Lynn's eyes. Officer, I say, I need you to do something for me, and I need you to do it without telling anyone. She stiffens. Sir, that's. Just listen. I cut in softer now. Before midnight tonight, I want you to write something down, anything, a word, a number, a drawing, something you can't miss in the morning, on your arm, in your pocket, wherever. Then tomorrow, I stop myself. Tomorrow, the word tastes wrong. Lynn watches me, unsettled. Detective, what are you talking about? I glance up at the cameras again. They stare back, silent and active. I'm talking about proof, I say, because if I'm right, we're not solving one murder. Lynn's throat bobs as she swallows. Then what are we solving? I look down at the dried stain on the concrete, blood scrubbed into permanence. We're solving why Halcyon won't let the day end, I say. Lynn doesn't answer right away. She looks past me to the maintenance crew, to the hovering drone and its polite hologram, to the cameras that pretend they're just hardware. Her jaw tightens the way it does when someone decides whether to be a good officer or a good person. Okay, she says finally, I'll do it, but you're telling me why. Not here, I say. She glances at my tablet. Where? I hesitate. In Halcyon, where is always the problem. Every place has ears. Every network node has eyes. Even the parks, especially the parks, feel like they're designed to cradle you into harmlessness. I point toward the service door. Inside, that maintenance corridor, no cameras on the interior line. Usually, if there are, I want to know. Lynn nods once and follows me, hand resting near her sidearm more out of habit than threat. I flash my badge at the service door's scanner. It chirps and unlocks. The air inside is warmer, thick with the smell of ozone and dust. The corridor lights are low, industrial, unpretty. It feels like stepping behind a stage set and finding the scaffolding. Lynn exhales. This place always gives me the creeps. That's because it's honest, I say. We walk until the alley noise muffles to nothing. Pipes run overhead in neat bundles. Labels stenciled on the wall repeat every 10 meters. Identical font, identical spacing. Sector 14B/utility spine. Like the city is reminding itself what it is. I stop at junction where the corridor splits. No cameras that I can see. No sensor nodes glowing. Lynn crosses her arms. Now talk. I pull up the camera footage again, scrolling to midnight. Watch the time stamp, I say. She leans in. The screen shows me and her in the alley standing over Darren Voss, rain falling. The time ticks forward normally. 23:58, 23:59, 00:00. Nothing happens. Lynn frowns. So the cameras didn't record it, I say. Record what? I look at her and the words feel ridiculous in my mouth, like something you'd confess to a psychiatrist, not an officer. At midnight, the city resets. Lynn's expression doesn't change much, but something behind her eyes shifts, attention sharpening. Resets how? I was at a crime scene, I say. Same as this, same victim, same time. At midnight, everything froze, rain hung in the air. Then there was this white flash, like the world got wiped clean. I blacked out. Lynn stares at me for a beat, then she gives a careful, practiced nod. And you think, what, you're reliving the same day? I know I am, I say, and I lift my sleeve, showing her the ink on my arm. I wrote this because I woke up and the call came in again. Same homicide, same location, no record of yesterday. Lynn's gaze flicks between my arm and my face. You could have written that this morning. I did, I admit, because I remembered last night. You're sure you weren't dreaming? I open my tablet and pull up my case notes app, then swipe to yesterday's timestamp. I logged evidence. I took photos, I tagged Lynn on the report. I scroll, empty, no file, no draft, no deleted folder. It's like the data never existed. Lynn inhales slowly through her nose. Okay, she says, but she doesn't sound convinced. She sounds like she's bracing herself. If this is a reset, why do you remember? I don't know, I say, but something in the system knows I do. Her eyebrows lift. What do you mean? I tell her about the lens notification. Anomalous memory event detected, and the words, containment priority. Lynn's mouth tightens. Civis. Yeah, I say, Civis is the city's backbone. Officially, it's an optimization suite. Traffic, sanitation, emergency response, energy allocation. Unofficially, it's the thing that makes Halcyon feel like a machine that just happens to have people inside it. Lynn looks uneasy. If Civis flagged you, why haven't they come for you? I rub my thumb over the dried marker ink. Maybe they don't want to draw attention. Maybe they think I'll settle back into the loop if they nudge me. Or maybe you're wrong, Lynn says, gently but firmly. Maybe you're having a breakdown and Civis detected it. I almost laugh. Do you think the city sends maintenance crews to wash murder scenes at 6 a.m. because a detective is stressed? Lynn hesitates. I lean closer. Lynn, that body was there last night. She searches my face for the lie and doesn't find it, or finds something else instead, something that feels too earnest to dismiss. Okay, she says again, quieter. So what do we do? Two things, I reply. We solve the murder, and we find out why the city is protecting whoever did it. Lynn's eyes narrow. You're assuming the city is protecting them. The cameras were supposedly down, I say, except they weren't. The attacker's face is obscured in the only angle that matters, but everything else is crystal clear. And then maintenance shows up before your boots hit the pavement. Lynn's jaw clenches. So the system is editing reality. Or choosing what counts as reality, I say. Lynn looks down at her own forearm, bare and unmarked. You want me to write something down before midnight to see if I remember? Yes, I say, because if you can carry a message across the reset, then I'm not alone in this. And if you can't, then you're still alone, she finishes, voice small. I hate the pity that flickers across her face. I hate that I want it. A low thrum vibrates through the corridor, distant but present. A transit pod passing overhead, or a maintenance train moving under us. Halcyon's constant motion. I force my attention back to the murder. Now, I say, tell me about Darren Voss. Lynn blinks as if I've yanked her from a cliff edge back onto the case. What about him? Arclight logistics, I say. No priors, 34, doesn't scream alley stabbing to me. Lynn nods slowly. Arclight handles freight routing, offload scheduling, drone dispatch. They're tied into Civis for efficiency. There it is, I mutter. Everything ties into Civis. Lynn pulls up her own tablet. Darren Voss is a mid-level supervisor, night shifts. He'd have access to routing manifests, maybe sensitive cargo, or sensitive data, I say. What did the attacker take from his pocket? Lynn scrubs the footage back and forth, zooming in on the moment the silhouette kneels. Looks like a card or a small drive. Physical, I say, not cloud. Lynn's eyes flick to me. Why would someone carry physical data in Halcyon? Because the cloud gets wiped, I say, and the answer leaves my mouth before I've fully formed it. Lynn goes still. You think Darren knew about the reset? I think he found something out, I say. Something he didn't want erased, something he kept off-grid. Lynn glances toward the corridor ceiling, instinctively wary of listening devices. Then whoever killed him didn't just want him dead, they wanted what he had. I nod, and they wanted the city to help them disappear. Lynn swallows, so we need to find what he had. Before midnight, I say, the words hang between us like a deadline carved into stone. Lynn's eyes harden with purpose. Whatever she believes about resets and white wipes, she understands time pressure. We can hit Arclight, she says, ask his supervisor, check his locker. Careful, I warn. If Civis is involved, the moment we touch Arclight's network, we'll light up like a flare. Lynn exhales. So we go analog, I nod. We go in person, we talk to people, we look at physical spaces, we find anything he hid that isn't in a server. And if we find it, Lynn asks, I think of the midnight flash, the pressure in my skull, the way the city seemed to reach into me and close its hand. Then we make sure it survives the reset, I say. Lynn's gaze drops again to my arm, like your note. Like my note, I agree, only better. She studies me for a moment. Detective, if you're right, and the city resets every night, how long have you been stuck? The corridor feels colder. I open my mouth, ready to answer with confidence. Since last night, and then something slides in behind the thought, a sensation of déjà vu so sharp it's almost nausea, the taste of disinfectant, the flicker of the streetlight, Lynn's voice saying, Detective, I've had that same moment before more than once. I don't know, I say honestly, but I'm starting to think it's longer than I want to admit. Lynn's throat tightens, and you never thought to what? I cut in. End the loop, run out of the city, smash the clocks. My voice rises, frustration spilling over. This is Halcyon, you don't even see the system until it wants you to. Lynn flinches slightly, then steadies. Okay, she says again, but this time it's not concession, it's commitment. We have one day, we use it. I nod, grateful and terrified. We leave the maintenance corridor and step back into the polished morning. The city's noise returns in a soft wave. People talking, drones humming, screens chirping. Halcyon smiles its bright, helpful smile. As we walk toward Arclight, my lens overlay flickers once more. A new notification slides into the corner of my vision, clean and polite as any city announcement. Civis adaptive response. Containment priority updated. Subject, Jonah Hale. Status, elevated. I don't tell Lynn, not yet. I just keep walking. Arm itching under my sleeve where the ink dries darker, and wonder how long we have before the city decides containment needs to become something more permanent than a warning. Arclight Logistics sits in the shadow of 3 towers that look identical except for the logos projected near their tops. Corporate symmetry, another kind of comfort. The lobby is bright and quiet, with a polished stone floor that reflects the people walking across it until they look like they are hovering. A receptionist drone glides toward us, its voice soft and pleasant. Welcome to Arclight, please state your business. Lynn flashes her badge. Officer Lynn, Halcyon Public Safety, this is Detective Hale. We're investigating the death of Darren Voss. The drone's lights blink once, almost like a blink of surprise. Please wait. It glides away, leaving us standing in a pool of sterile light. Lynn leans close and murmurs, if Civis is watching, it already knows we're here. I know, I whisper back, but we need a human, someone who can still look uncomfortable. A security gate opens at the far end of the lobby, and a man in a charcoal suit steps through, mid-40s, 2 neat eyes that scan like a camera before they settle into something approximating warmth. Detective Hale, he says, offering a hand that's dry and practiced. I'm Director Sado. Darren was on my team. I don't shake his hand. I keep mine visible. Out of my pockets, we'd like to see Darren's workspace and personal effects. Sado's smile tightens at the edges. Of course, but I should tell you, Arclight Security has already begun internal review. Started early, Lynn says, and there's bite in her tone. Sado glances at her, then back to me. We cooperate fully with public safety. It's a script. Everyone has scripts. We follow him through a corridor lined with glass offices where people move in efficient silence. No one looks up as we pass. They're busy or pretending to be. Either way, they don't want to become part of anything messy. Sato leads us to a row of cubicles near a bank of freight-routing monitors. Darren's station is there, neat as a museum display, headset hung precisely, chair tucked in, desk cleared except for a small framed photo of a woman and a kid. I pause at the photo. The child is missing a front tooth, grinning like the world is safe. Lynn notices too. Her expression softens, then hardens again. Sato gestures to the desk. As you can see, there's nothing. I open the desk drawer, empty, not empty because someone cleaned it. Empty like the drawer was manufactured that way and never used. I open the second drawer, empty. I kneel and check beneath the desk for a personal lockbox. Nothing. Lynn walks around the cubicle, running her fingers along the edges like she's looking for dust patterns. Where's his bag? She asks. Sato blinks. Bag? Everyone has a bag, Lynn says, even if it's just for lunch. Sato's smile slips a fraction. Darren wasn't the type. I glance at him. What type was he? Sato hesitates, then chooses a safe answer. Reliable. Reliable people don't end up in alleys with puncture wounds. I stand and look at the monitors. Darren's login prompt glows, waiting. I don't touch it, not yet. I can almost feel Civis watching through the glass. Instead, I gesture at the photo. That his family? Sato's gaze flicks to it. His wife, daughter. What's their name? I ask. Sato's brows draw together. I don't know. Lynn's eyes narrow. You're his director. Sato spreads his hands slightly. We respect privacy at ArcLight. It's the kind of lie people tell when they don't want to admit they don't see their employees as people. Lynn leans closer to the photo frame and taps the bottom edge. This is loose. She flips it, and a folded piece of paper slips out from behind it, landing on the desk with a soft flutter. Sato stiffens. That shouldn't be. Lynn ignores him and unfolds the paper carefully, as if it might explode into dust. It's a handwritten note. Pen on cheap paper. Kind of thing that doesn't belong in Halcyon. Lynn reads aloud. If you're reading this, midnight is real. My stomach drops. Lynn's eyes widen. She continues, voice barely above a whisper. They erase the day. They erase the logs. Keep it off-grid. If I'm gone, don't trust the city. Don't trust Civis. She looks up at me, face pale. Jonah. It's the first time she's used my first name. Sato takes a step forward, hand half raised. That's company property. It may be sensitive. Lynn snaps the note up out of his reach. This is evidence. Sato's smile returns, but it's brittle now. Officer, I understand your enthusiasm, but ArcLight interfaces with Civis. We handle classified routing. You can't. Darren wrote this. I cut in. My voice sounds steadier than I feel, so he knew. Sato's eyes flick too fast to the nearest ceiling node. A reflex, fear. I watch him closely. Did you know? I ask. Sato exhales through his nose. Detective, there are rumors. People talk. They say the city has maintenance cycles. Maintenance cycles, Lynn repeats, disgusted. That's what you call erasing people's lives? Sato's jaw tightens. You don't understand what Civis does, what it prevents. What it controls, I say. Sato holds my gaze for a moment and something human flashes there, panic buried under training. You should leave, he says quietly. Lynn scoffs. Are you threatening us? No, Sato says. I'm warning you. I glance at the note again. There's more writing below the warning, a second paragraph squeezed into the margin like Darren ran out of time. Read the rest, I tell Lynn. She swallows and continues. The proof is in the old transit terminal. Locker 9C, key is taped under the bench. If you want out, you have to break the anchor. Lynn looks up slowly. Old transit terminal. My mind races. Halcyon has old infrastructure the way it has old history, sealed behind renovations, repurposed into museums, scrubbed clean of utility. But there is one place that still exists half forgotten beneath the polished arteries, Terminal 9. The original subway hub, decommissioned when the magnetic lanes took over. Locker 9C, key taped under the bench. Proof. Lynn folds the note and tucks it inside her jacket. We need to go now. Sato's voice sharpens. Detective, if you interfere with Civis protocols, you will destabilize. You mean you'll lose control? I snap. Sato flinches. His expression tightens into something almost pleading. You think you're the first to try to pull at this thread? Do you know what happens when the thread snaps? Lynn steps toward him. Tell us. Sato opens his mouth, closes it. Then very softly he says, "People die." The words sit heavy in the bright office air. Lynn's eyes harden. People are already dying. Darin died. Sado's gaze shifts away as if he can't bear the accusation. I study him. "Why didn't you go to public safety?" Sado's laugh is hollow. "Public safety is plugged into Civis. Everything is. You think your badge gives you privacy?" Lynn's hand drifts toward her sidearm again, not because she's going to use it, but because she suddenly feels naked without the idea of protection. I lower my voice. "Director Sado, if you know something, help us. You brought us here." He hesitates, then he leans closer just enough that his words are meant only for us. "Terminal 9 is monitored," he whispers. "Not by cameras, by pattern analysis. If you go, Civis will know why." Lynn's jaw clenches. "Let it." Sado's eyes flick to my forearm, where the marker ink peeks from my sleeve. "You remember," he says, not quite a question. I don't answer, I don't have to. Sado swallows hard. "Then you're the anchor." The phrase hits me like a punch to the ribs. "Anchor," Lynn repeats. Sado's face is pale now, his polished composure cracking. "They say the loop holds because someone holds it. Someone has to remember or the reset drifts. The city becomes unstable." My skin prickles, the midnight pressure in my skull. The lens notification calling me anomalous. Containment elevated. I feel suddenly, horribly seen. Lynn grabs my elbow. "We're leaving," she says. Sado steps back as if he's afraid his proximity will infect him. "Detective," he calls after me, and his voice is barely audible over the soft hum of the freight monitors. "If you find proof, don't bring it into the network." I pause at the threshold. "We won't." Sado's gaze flicks once more toward the ceiling node. "And detective," he adds. I turn. His eyes are wide, and for the first time he looks like a man rather than a role. "Whatever you do," he says, "do it before the city decides you're a fault it can correct." We walk out of Arclight with the note burning like a coal inside Lynn's jacket. Outside, Halcyon's morning is still bright, still clean, still pretending it isn't built on an erasure. Lynn keeps her voice low as we move with the crowd. "Terminal 9, Locker 9C, we've got proof." "Maybe," I say. Lynn shoots me a look. "What do you mean, maybe?" I glance up at a public screen that displays the day's civic announcements. The text scrolls smoothly, cheerful as always. "Halcyon citizen reminder, midnight maintenance will occur as scheduled. Rest well." My blood goes cold. Lynn follows my gaze and reads it. Her face drains. "Midnight maintenance," she whispers. "The city isn't hiding it anymore. It's normalizing it. And if Darin was right, if breaking the anchor is the only way out, then whatever is in Locker 9C isn't just proof. It's a weapon aimed at the city's heart." I look at Lynn and see fear there now, real and sharp. "Do you still want to do this?" I ask. Lynn's hand presses instinctively against the note inside her jacket, like she's making sure it's still real. "Yes," she says, voice steady. "Before midnight." Terminal 9 sits beneath the city like a suppressed memory. The entrance is hidden behind a renovated plaza where families drink synthetic smoothies and pretend the ground under their feet isn't hollow. A cheerful mural covers the service stairs. Bright colors, smiling commuters, a train that looks like a toy. There's even a plaque, Halcyon Heritage Site, Terminal 9 decommissioned, a celebration of progress, progress. Another slogan. Lynn and I slip past the tourists and down the stairs marked "Authorized personnel only," using my badge to override the lock. The air changes immediately, cooler, damper, smelling of old metal and dust. The city's polished hum fades, replaced by deeper vibrations, like the bones of Halcyon still shifting in the dark. At the bottom of the stairwell, a corridor stretches forward, lit by spaced-out amber bulbs that flicker slightly as if they're tired. Old signage points in directions that don't exist anymore. Platform 3. Outbound east. Emergency shelter. Lynn's boots echo. She lowers her voice automatically. "This place feels wrong. Because it isn't optimized," I say. "It's leftover." We reach the main terminal hall. It's vast and empty in a way that makes my skin crawl. Rows of benches sit in neat lines, dust-coated, their plastic surfaces scratched with old graffiti. Names, dates, crude drawings. A ticket kiosk stands dead and dark, its screen spiderwebbed. Above, a giant clock hangs over the hall. The clock is stopped at 11:58. Lynn swallows. That can't be real. I stare at it, feeling something tighten in my throat. The city doesn't like the time between 11:58 And 12:02, it hides it. It smooths it over. Here it can't. Bench, I say, forcing myself to move. Darren said key taped under the bench. Lynn nods and heads toward the nearest row, crouching to check beneath the seats. Her fingers brush dust and grime. She grimaces but keeps searching. I walk toward the lockers. A wall of them lines the far side of the hall. Metal doors with faded numbers, some dented, some pried open long ago. They look like something from a different era when people still carried bags and paper tickets and secrets that weren't stored in clouds. Locker 9C is near the center. The lock is intact. My heart beats faster. Lynn calls softly from behind me. Found something. I turn. She's holding a small key taped to the underside of a bench with yellowed adhesive. It looks ordinary. That's what's terrifying about it. How much power can hide in something so small? She walks it over and places it in my palm. Our fingers touch. Hers are cold. You do it, she says. I hesitate. Why? Because if Civis is watching patterns, Lynn says, it's watching you. If anyone gets flagged, it'll be you. Better to have one of us clean. I almost laugh. Clean? Lynn's expression doesn't change. Less dirty. I stare at the key. It's warm from her hand. I slide it into the lock. It turns with a soft click that echoes too loudly in the empty hall. The locker door swings open. Inside is a small black case no bigger than a lunchbox with an old-style physical latch. Not company issue, not city issue, personal. Lynn leans in. That's it. I lift it out. It's heavier than it should be. The case has a strip of tape across it with handwriting in thick marker. Don't open near the network. Lynn exhales. He really meant it. We back away from the lockers and set the case on a bench beneath the stopped clock. Dust puffs up as it lands. I look around the hall. No cameras, I murmur, scanning corners. No drones. Lynn's gaze flicks to the ceiling. Then how is it monitored? I open my mouth to answer and stop. Because the sound of the city hum is creeping back in, faint but distinct, like a distant choir. Not from above, from inside my head. I rub my temple. Jonah? Lynn asks, seeing my expression. I'm fine, I lie. We pop the latch. Inside the case is a sealed envelope, paper, real paper, with Darren's name written across it. Beneath the envelope is a small metal object shaped like a coin but thicker, etched with fine lines like circuitry. And under that, a compact data drive, physical, with a port so old it's almost decorative. Lynn picks up the envelope. For us. I nod, throat tight. Open it. Her hands tremble slightly as she tears the seal. She pulls out two items, a folded letter and a thin sheet of something that looks like a city map, except it's covered in concentric circles and arrows and annotations. Lynn unfolds the letter first and starts reading aloud, voice quiet in the cavernous hall. If you're reading this, I didn't make it to midnight. She swallows, or I did and they made sure I didn't remember. She looks up at me briefly, eyes wide, then keeps going. Terminal 9 is outside Civis's direct control. It's not efficient, which means it's neglected. That's why this is here. Lynn's voice tightens. The city is running a loop, not because of a glitch, because of policy. They call it maintenance, but it's memory deletion. My stomach twists. Hearing it written, plain and blunt, makes it harder to dismiss. Lynn continues. I found the directive file in ArcLight's routing core. I shouldn't have been able to see it. I think the system is slipping, or I think it wanted someone to see it. She pauses, eyes tracking the next lines, then reads slower. The loop is anchored to a single exempt mind. The anchor remembers. The city recalibrates around that memory. If the anchor stops remembering, Civis loses the checksum and the loop fails. Lynn lowers the letter and looks at me like she's seeing my skeleton through my skin. Anchor, she whispers. My mouth is dry. Keep reading. Lynn's fingers tighten on the paper. If you want out, you don't break the city. You break the anchor. Lynn's voice cracks slightly on the last word. I stare at the dust on the floor, at the old graffiti on the benches, at the stopped clock frozen at 11:58, as if even time here refuses to move forward. Why me? I whisper, not to Lynn, not to Darren's letter, but to the city itself. Lynn reads the next section, quieter now, as if she's afraid the words might echo out into the system. The drive contains proof, Civis directives, reset logs, and a projected outcome report. It also contains the anchor key. Lynn blinks. Anchor key. She flips the page. The anchor key is not a device. It's a person. Detective Jonah Hale. The world narrows to a single point. Lynn's voice goes very small. Jonah, I breathe in, but it feels like the air stops halfway down. My heart is pounding hard enough to shake my ribs. I force myself to speak. How did Darren know my name? Lynn looks down at the letter again, scanning. There's more. She continues, and her voice grows steadier as she reads, anger lending strength. They chose you because you're a detective, because you notice anomalies, because you're trained to trust patterns, and because you signed the exemption order. I laugh once, sharp, incredulous. I did not. Lynn's gaze is pinned to the paper. It says you did. My mind flashes back to the alley, the freeze, the pressure in my skull, like a hand covering my eyes. A voice in the dark saying something I couldn't catch, a number or a name. Lynn reads the last lines. If you want the city to move forward again, you have to choose. Keep remembering and Halcyon stays stable forever. Trapped. Stop remembering and the loop collapses. Lynn folds the letter slowly. That's insane. Is it? I ask, and my voice is hoarse. Or is it the first thing that's made sense all day? I pick up the data drive from the case, turning it in my fingers. It's scuffed, old. The kind of thing you could hide in a pocket. The kind of thing that would survive a reset if you kept it close enough. Lynn reaches for the coin-like metal object. What's this? I look at it. The etched lines form a pattern that makes my eyes want to slide away from it. A spiral, a loop. Lynn tilts it under the amber light. It's got an inscription. Read it, I say. Lynn squints. Checksum token, anchor access. She looks up at me, fear bright in her eyes. This is the key to you. A low vibration rolls through the terminal hall, deeper than before. The old bulbs flicker, then steady. My lens overlay, normally quiet down here, flares to life with a system alert so sudden it makes me flinch. Civis adaptive response, anchor breach detected. Location, Terminal 9. Action, recovery initiated. Lynn sees the flash in my eyes. What? They know, I say. Lynn's head snaps toward the stairwell we came down. How? There are no cameras. I don't answer. Because the truth is whispering at the edge of my mind, cold and unavoidable. They don't need cameras. They have me.